Hey, Nathan again. This video is from my blog, catalystgames.blogspot.com. I was noticing the other day that I have 99 posts on that blog now, and so I thought I should do something a little special for my 100th post. In addition to playing a lot of games and posting reviews of those games, I also do some game design as a hobby. And so I thought I would show you one of the designs, one of the games that I'm working on. It's called Battle Cup. It's a racing game, racing board game. The inspiration for it was sort of the video game franchise Mario Kart. Of course, I can't call it Mario Kart because of intellectual property rights, but for that reason, I've sort of made it injected a little bit of a sci-fi theme, making it perhaps a bit like the video game F-Zero Racing, which is another game I played as a kid and enjoyed a lot. But anyhow, I'll show you how it works, and I would love to get your thoughts on it. Leave a comment, tell me what you think about it. So here's a view of basically all the components in the game. When you are setting up to play, the first thing you're going to do is determine one player to go first in the selection phase. So in the selection phase, that player is going to choose one of these four drivers to personify them. They're going to take on one of these four characters. Each character has some nice artwork provided by the talented Arcadia Page. They have a special ability that they can do, and they have some flavor text, a quote from that character to kind of give you an idea of the personality of that driver. Like I said, there's four different ones. Each one of them has a different special ability, and so that's the first thing that's going to happen is the player who's going first in the selection phase will choose which driver they're going to use. So let's say we're setting up a two-player game. The first player chooses Alistair, the second player chooses Carmen. Jaxus and Tesla won't be used in this game, so they can be set aside. Now, again, starting with the first player, he's going to choose which vehicle he will use. The vehicles each have a different colored car, and they have a deck of 8 item cards that go with them. Now, each deck of item cards is different from all the other decks of item cards. That's not to say that no deck shares cards with any other deck, but the exact composition of each deck is unique. And each car has been designed to kind of go with one of the characters, but you can mix and match if you like. In this example, I'm just going to go ahead and have the first player choose the red car, which is kind of designed to go with Alistair. And then the second player is going to choose the purple car, which is sort of designed to go with Carmen. So each player is going to get their deck, and I'm having a hard time with that. Okay, there we go. And we're pretty much set to go. Now, whichever player got first pick of the drivers and the actual racing vehicles, the other player, or I guess I should say the last player who got to pick their driver and vehicle, gets to place their vehicle first, and then it goes in reverse order. So the player who's playing as Carmen will get to choose to go first. And now let's take a closer look at this board. So the board is a racetrack, and it's made up of individual tiles, kind of like this. They all have the same shape. Some of them have this special terrain on it, which I'll talk about in a minute. But otherwise, they're all identical. They're all the same shape. And you can arrange them to create different race courses, depending on how long of a race or how much of a challenge you want. So this token right here indicates where the start and finish line is. It's on this line right here between these two tiles. So I'm going to go ahead and place my racer on this spot here. Or actually, I'm going to go with this spot here, like so. You can choose both the space that it occupies and its facing. So that's going to really give me the best, most advantageous position. Now the second player is going to set up theirs, and he's going to go ahead and put his right here, facing that direction. Puts me pretty close to on par where the other person is, but not quite as advantageous a position. Now, like I said, on some of the track tiles, we have this pattern here that indicates challenging terrain. And there are 3 challenging terrain cards. When you're setting up the game, you could either shuffle them and choose one at random, or you could select one. They are sand, ice, and warpstone. And each one basically has a different effect on your racer as it passes over that terrain. In this case, we'll go with ice. So ice has the effect that basically the first steering icon you spin on each space of this terrain has no effect. So it's harder to steer across ice. So we'll just put that up here as a reminder that that's what all of the challenging terrain does. And then you'll notice that there's also these little tokens on the map. These are hazards. They're basically kind of like landmine type of things that after when you move on to it, something bad happens and then it gets removed. But what happens specifically can vary depending on which hazard you're using. And as with the challenging terrain, there's 3 different hazard cards. And again, you could shuffle these and choose one at random. But we're going to go ahead and go with the gravity anchor. The gravity anchor, when you run over this, it makes you lose all of your remaining movement icons. So that, combined with the ice, is going to make for a pretty challenging race course. Some other tokens that are in the game are these landmine tokens. One of the items that some people can have in their deck, some of the cars have in their deck, is a landmine, so you could place one of these on there. And the landmine basically just does damage to whoever runs over. So what you're going to do on your turn is you're going to have these decks of item cards. They're going to be shuffled. And each player also gets a reference card, which on one side lists 3 stunts that you can perform. On the other side, it lists the rules for collisions, resolving collisions. Each player gets one of those. So whoever set their car down first goes first, and then play proceeds in a clockwise manner. So the Carmen player is going to go first. You have these 8 custom dice, 4 red dice and 4 green. They're each a little bit different. Green basically emphasizes maneuverability and steering, and the red emphasizes movement and speed. So if on your turn you get to roll 4 dice, and you can choose which 4 you want to roll. So you could choose maybe 2 of each, or you could choose 3 green and a red, or just go with all 4 red, or whatever combination you like. It's just going to basically depends on whether you want to emphasize speed or maneuverability this turn. So we're going to say she's actually set up with a really good spot. So she's going to roll all 4 red dice. She doesn't really need to make any turns on this turn. So roll all 4 dice. And as you can see, each die has some icons on it. We have movement icons, which she rolled 2 of there. She rolled a 3rd one there. And here she rolled a movement icon and a turning icon. So she's got a total of 4 movement icons and 1 turning icon. So now she's going to spin those icons. So for each movement icon, she gets to move forward 1 space. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll land her right there. Now remember, when she moves over this, that's the ice, which means that the first steering icon that she spins on each space of this terrain has no effect. But she didn't need to spin any steering icons on that space because she was already going the direction she wanted to go. Now she's used all 4 of her all 4 of her movement icons. She could use a turning icon, but at this point it's a little too early for her to start turning. When you turn, spin to turning icon, you turn like one time to face a different edge of the space that you're in. And you can spin those icons as you like. So you could, in this case, you could have maybe moved twice, turned, moved 2 more times, or however she wants to spin the icons. The other thing that you can roll on these dice is a star icon right there. They all have a star icon on 2 sides. And so what you use the star icons for is you can always spin the star icon to draw an item card from your deck. So she could draw the spin thrusters. When she has a spin thruster, she can hang on to it and use it on her turn to basically turn her racer once. So basically get a free turn icon. That's the point of that card. And of course she has a variety of other cards. Here she got proximity mines. She has afterburners, gives her basically an extra movement. She has another afterburners. She has seeker missiles. These ones you use on your turn, and one other racer within 3 spaces of your racer is damaged. So anyhow, she has a variety of those item cards, and you can always spend a star to draw one of those cards from your deck. You can only have 2 item cards in your hand at a time, so if you ever draw a third one, you have to immediately discard one. And once you've drawn them all, then you would shuffle your discard pile and start going through them again. Another thing you can spend stars for is your special ability. It costs 2 star icons. You have to basically spend 2 star icons at the same time to trigger the driver's special ability, which in her case, she would choose another player. That player discards an item card immediately and rolls 1 less die on their next turn. She's basically like a cunning saboteur type of character. So that's representing the fact that she's done things before the race even began to hinder her opponents. And then the last thing that you can do with stars is you can spin them to perform a stunt. There's 3 different stunts you can perform. Each one requires you to spin 2 star icons at the same time. And the stunts are that you can drift, jump, or ricochet. Drifting basically allows you to kind of move diagonally instead of moving straight ahead without changing the facing of your vehicle. Jumping lets you move forward in a straight line over other racers or hazards or so forth. And the ricochet is a trick that you pull when you're basically colliding with something. When you're resolving a collision, you can use the ricochet stunt to sort of bounce off of a wall or off of another racer in such a way that it actually gives you a boost of momentum. So those are the 3 uses for the star icons. And so each player is going to move around the board like so. She's going to continue moving. Hopefully on her next turn she'll get some steering icons so she can maybe move up to here and then turn and then move and then hopefully be able to turn again. The board, as you can see, is kind of coming apart as I move the vehicles across it. And bear in mind this is just a prototype, so hopefully in the finished version of the game these would maybe be interlocking pieces or something to that effect so that they would stick together better. I've mentioned damage, but I haven't explained how it works. Basically, you have these damage tokens. They're double-sided. One side's yellow, the other side's red. The first damage that you take one of these tokens and put it face up in front of you by your card with the yellow side up. And it doesn't do anything immediately against you. But then the second time you take damage in the same round, you will flip it over and now it's red. At that point, if it's your turn, then your turn immediately ends. But either way, whether you have the yellow side up or the red side up, at the beginning of your next turn, you're going to roll less dice. So with the yellow side up, you're going to roll only 3 dice on your turn. And with the red side up, you're going to roll only 2 dice on your turn. In either case, as soon as you do that, the damage token goes away. So damage can never accumulate more than basically 2 points of damage. Damage will never like take you out of the game entirely. It'll just kind of slow you down for maybe a round. And the last thing that I want to share about the game is that apart from being able to set up different racetracks and race, obviously the objective of the race is to get all the way around the track back to the start-finish line and cross it, and you can set it up as maybe, you know, multiple laps that you have to complete. But also there's the option to do a battle mode where you would arrange these tiles not as a race course so much but as some kind of arena. And then there would be no start-finish line. You just move around and use your item cards to try and deal damage to your opponents. As you deal damage to your opponents, you get these victory tokens, which are simply double-sided tokens with a 1 on one side and a 2 on the other. So every time you do damage to an opponent, you get a victory point. You get that token first. The second time you hit it, you flip it over. Now you have 2 victory points. And the third time you do damage, you win. So the first person to acquire 3 victory points would win in a battle mode. And that's basically how the game works. As I said, there's a lot of potential for replayability because you can set up different race tracks. There's the potential for the game to be expanded by adding new drivers and new vehicles via customized decks. And that's basically it. So that's Battle Cup. That's my prototype anyway. I'd be curious to see hear any feedback that you have to give on it, and I look forward to sharing more of my gaming projects with you in the future. Thank you for watching.